Hello everybody, welcome to episode number 6 of the BIVBlog, Benedict's IT video blog. My name is Benedict Stockebrand and today I want to give you some late breaking news from the telephony sector. Now, according to a press release from the ITU, the International Telephony Union, a number of major telephony carriers have decided, due to the recent revelations concerning activities of certain intelligence and security agencies, to improve our all privacy by ensuring that whenever we press the hash key on our cell phone or run out of battery juice, we will actually get allocated a new phone number for our privacy reasons. Best thing about it is it's even not going to be free of charge, and it'll be automatically enabled for exactly every one of us. Now, isn't that great news for a change? No? Don't believe it? Okay, let's try another one. Number of major ISPs have decided to improve our privacy to ensure that even when we move from IPv4 to IPv6, they will make sure that no matter what, we will only get dynamic addresses to improve our privacy, and it's going to be free of charge. Consumer grade customers only, business customers don't get this extra service, despite the fact that they're paying twice as much money anyway. But for the rest, it's going to be free and it's going to be good for us, and we will be safe and secure. And okay, well, was worth a try, really. But seriously, folks, they're actually trying to tell people this sort of bullshit. And I mean bullshit. It's complete and utter bullshit, and they try to make it look like something that's actually a service to the community. It's not. I mean, this is crap. We've had the situation with IPv4 for a long time that because of the limitations of IPv4, it was pretty much impossible to provide everybody with static addresses so they could run a service at home. And people have been used to this for about 20 years now, so they don't realize it could be differently. But with IPv6, we have the addresses, and the providers have been allocated the addresses to actually give everybody a sufficient, and I mean sufficient, number of static addresses for their home. So we could actually do some things with it again. Things that haven't been possible with IPv4 for quite some time. And this is gonna go down the drain because they don't provide the service they actually should when they sell us something like internet access. I mean, it's stupid. I'm traveling a lot. I do trainings basically all over the world, and I've been using a VPN gateway to get access to my service at home, so I can do things like reading email or whatever. And with static addresses, that's fairly simple and straightforward, and most important, it's reliable. I mean, it's something you can set up and it works, up to the point that the layers below cause you trouble with DSL and that sort of crap, but that's a different story. Probably worth another rant sometime. But once you get dynamic addresses, this is a huge pain, and it's not going to work. I mean, I can sort of work around that with a number of tricks and a root server somewhere where I can actually put my actual address, or maybe use DNS, but DNS is getting killed by some ISPs because they cache their DNS entries longer than they're supposed to. So this is a huge, big problem. And what's worse, I mean, I need this stuff to work. And everybody's talking about home automation, Internet of Things sort of stuff. I mean, you know, this like this Arduino Uno with an Ethernet shield. And if you want to do anything remotely clever with these things, you need to have reliable access to your home. And that's simply not possible with dynamic addresses. So we're being shortchanged here on a big scale. And when it comes about privacy, if you're really serious about it, use a bloody anonymizer. Use Tor or whatever, but don't just rely on your ISP swapping addresses every once in a while or not. And making sure that these changing addresses are actually unpredictable. That's not something they promise, by the way, at least as far as I know. So this is nonsense. And why I'm so pissed about it? Because it's causing me problems. Why do ISPs do that? Because they want to preserve their existing business models, which were based on the limitations of IPv4, and they just want to make sure that despite the fact that IPv6 doesn't have these limitations, they can maintain these business models even when they deploy IPv6. That's all there really is about it. That and nothing else. It starts with making distinction between private and business customers. And here, this is a good one. Now, if one of these sales guys or girls tells you about this is all for your privacy, then tell them, okay, yeah, but I'm a business customer. And what then? Well, in that case, you get static addresses, of course. What do you mean? I pay twice as much money and I don't get any privacy? That's bullshit, obviously. And by that time, they're probably just going to throw you out of the shop or call the police or whatever. And they know they're bullshitting you, and they know you know, and that's simply a situation where they're pretty much screwed. But that's what they are selling. And the second problem the ISPs admittedly have, aside from the fact that they've been treating their customers so shitty that people just decide I go the cheapest one I can get because they're going to treat me like that anyway. And problem is that ISPs usually sell access as a flat rate. So no matter how much traffic you generate, you only pay a fixed price. They're trying to work around that, but we'll see what happens there. And on the other hand, they pay their upstreams by traffic volume. So if you start to do funny things that they hadn't anticipated, they have a problem. They make you sign a 2-year contract, so you can't just decide, okay, this service is crappy, I'm going elsewhere. But that way, if you cause too much traffic, they can't tell you, go away, we're going to get out of the contract, because they can't get out of the contract either, at least not without your agreement. And what would happen if people just took some funny Raspberry Pi, about 60 euros, 70 euros, complete thing with case and power supply and SD card and maybe a Wi-Fi interface? You could run a server on this. Not a huge, big file server, but it's good enough to put a couple funny cat videos on the internet or whatever, and you could run that from your home. No extra cost. Okay, maybe it takes a couple cents a year for power, but otherwise it is simple, they are cheap, they don't break, nothing. So people started to use this and generate additional traffic the ISPs hadn't anticipated. They'd have a problem there. Fair enough, but it's their job to sort that out. And there are ways to do that, one way or another. And it's not my problem. It's really not my problem. So that's basically why they're doing it. That's the real reason. It doesn't have anything to do with privacy. If it was, they'd also offer it for business customers, and if they're really serious, they'd set up some Tor gateways anyway. Now, that's bad enough already. Doesn't actually affect me, because I'm a business customer. I have static addresses, both IPv6 and IPv4, but it still affects me, and that's what's annoying me. First of all, the internet is something that you don't do with yourself, but with other people. And if the majority of other people can't use it the way I want it, then I lose out as well. Second point is this economics of scale. If people generally don't have full internet access, only halfway internet access, like with dynamic addresses, and you can consume sort of stuff somebody else provides, but you can't actually do something yourself, like, you know, doing some fancy new stuff nobody thought of. That's basically a problem for me. It's even worse with the ISPs pushing massively towards these walled garden things. So you go to one ISP and you get IPTV with all sorts of programs, but you go to another one, you get different programs, and if you want all of them, you have 5 different internet connectivities just to get all the programs for your idiotizer box at home with IPTV. That's stupid already. But who needs a TV anyway? Okay, but different story. But it's more than that. You know, if ISPs would offer people static addresses, we would have the vendors for these, or manufacturers for these home routers, the CPEs, the customer premises equipment, or CER, customer edge routers. They would actually build them in such a way that maybe you'd have a couple of red interfaces and a couple of green interfaces, and whatever you put on the red interface is accessible from the outside, and whatever you put in the green interfaces is only allowed to access the internet from inside, but not being accessed from outside. That would be cool, that'd be simple, that'd be useful, that'd be manageable for even people who don't really understand what they're doing. But these things don't get built. Why not? Because for these to actually work out, the majority of customers would have to have an ISP that actually provided necessary functionality that these things would make any sense. And the ISPs don't. So we're screwed. And I don't get the sort of router that I'd like to see for a number of things myself, because it's never getting built. Okay, I can build this sort of stuff myself, but it's getting expensive. I need a separate DSL modem or whatever, because I'm not going to build that myself. And it's just not really worth the hassle. Not for building just 1 or 2 or 3 of these. So we have a problem there. And another problem when it comes to content. So we can consume passively. If that's not enough, we can do things where we use some sort of service somebody else provides, and we can put some content there. You know, YouTube, Facebook, Flickr, Twitter, all that stuff. And that is basically just what they think you should provide, what kind of content, so what kind of service that you can. But if you want to do something else, like build a next generation web-based, internet-capable Tamagotchi sort of thing, and want to run a server at home just to see if this works, no chance. And innovation doesn't come from the big companies. It comes from people with weird ideas who take a bit of money and try if it works. And if it takes more money than they have, they scrap the idea and it's lost. So this is stupid. That's stupid at a global economic scale, if you want to. Big word, but that's basically what it is. So, and finally, home automation. Home automation needs access from outside to the inside. It needs to be simple. It needs to be extremely reliable. And that's simply not possible if you can't connect from the outside to the inside for devices you want to make accessible. Yes, I've recently seen some radiator thermostats that actually are remote controllable. They work like this. They connect to a server from the manufacturer, and then you can use your cell phone to connect to the server and tell your central heating to turn up or down. Cool. Except that there's too many things in the way that can break. So this is not as reliable as I'd want my central heating to be. And what's possibly even worse, if that manufacturer decides, we might have to increase our sales somehow, why don't we just turn off that server and wait until show up? Okay, they say, yeah, but you need now this, buy new stuff. And there's nothing I can do about it. I've got some perfectly functional gear and I can't use it because I'm being basically held at for using this sort of product. I don't have these sorts of thermostats because it doesn't make sense, but what I actually do have is a video camera that I'm currently looking right into that has pretty much the same sort of stuff. So somebody remotely can actually control my video camera, take a look at whatever that thing is currently pointed at, if I allowed it to be remotely accessible. And graciously, they'd also allow me to use some actually an app on a smartphone or tablet to control it. It doesn't even have a proper web interface. Oof. Okay, so with this sort of stuff, we lose a lot of flexibility, a lot of control, because the ISPs are just making money. And the only good thing about this is that I've seen something like this happen like 20, 25 years ago, when the established telco carriers tried to tell people what they needed or not. And you know, when this funny fad came up with, what was it called? Internet. That's it. Yeah, but 2 years from now, nobody cares about that anymore. I mean, it's just a fad. We've got BTX, we've got Minitel, one in Germany, one in France. We've got OSI, the entire OSI stack. It's much better than everything else. And people don't have a choice anyway. And some subversive figures decided we'll do it anyway. And it took them, what, 5 years to move the entire world from telephony world, oh, fax, by the way. That was another good one. Yeah, move from fax and telephony to email and the internet and so on. And we hopefully see something like that again. Now, I just hope for two things. First, it doesn't take another 20 years for it to actually happen, but hopefully maybe next year. And second, hopefully do a real good job this time and make sure the carriers this time don't stand up again. Okay, so much about dynamic addresses for IPv6. And if you want to discuss, and there's lots of things to say about this, I'm sure, hop over to the forum. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed it, got you some ideas to tell your ISP salespeople, and hopefully see you again next time. Bye. I think I want something better than tea this time.